You're ready to be premature all over again.
Wow, that's impressive.
Quick
bro.
reset.
Yeah.
Quick reset.
Last night was Ramos Jizz.
Freudian slip.
Who knew the job was pro bono?
I was so high that I shit myself at some point.
Okay, I can still hear somebody. Everybody mute. Goddamn, you're killing me.
My SEAL Team 6 went to SEAL Team 12.
There's nothing wrong with punching above your weight.
The flavor would get better.
Well,
I don't know what's worse. You're a ginger or you've been vaccinated.
You sit around and drink and solve the world's problems, right?
Welcome back,
Here we
ladies and
go.
gentlemen. This is not my
You
first drink
just
of the day. Holy shit and hallelujah. Here we are. The four horsemen are back in the studio. Looking forward to this one. As always, there'll be a good one. If not, you know what? It is what it is. We do our best and we try to entertain. We try to educate, but that's what we're here for. Gentlemen, how's everybody doing?
Good.
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 Good. Good.
Muy bueno.
That's not even
Wunderbar.
Dutch. There you go.
Yes. doing
Mac,
this
what about you, brother?
Wunderbar.
I'm just peachy keen, man.
Just peachy king.
I remain whelmed.
Whelmed.
Well,
Whelmed, yes.
Yes. Haas, I'm
Drenched or
glad you're
whelmed.
back after your jet skiing accident. You've recovered nicely. Glad to have
Thanks.
you here.
Appreciate
Uh,
you guys,
hey, man.
sending me flowers and
That's what we're here for.
get well cards and
Moral
balloons
support.
and
I mean, moral support.
moral support. I
What we're here
appreciate
for.
that. Thank you.
What is it? Approaching you in a romantic nature. What is that? What
I,
was
I
it?
approach you with romantic intent.
Intent. That's it.
And I receive you the same.
That's pleasant. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into our drinks and then we'll jump into our topics for today. So we're going to do something maybe a little different. I'm going to go first because I just want to. Now, Grinch, now I know you talked about this Hot Ones. Is this a YouTube thing?
Yes,
Exclusively?
I
actually,
don't
I'm
think
not
it
sure
is
about
anymore.
that.
I think it may have started on YouTube, but I think it's actually on like an actual
Yeah.
network.
Okay, and that's fine. But the point is, people go on the show, celebrities, I'm assuming, and they eat hot wings, very hot wings, and they talk about things. And you had sent stuff out about this, and we were talking about it, but unrelated to our topic, I thought I'm going to do something hot for my drink today. Since what you then sent out at the very end was we wanted to talk about everybody's hot takes, which I thought was clever. And so I wanted to do a hot drink for my hot take. So I'm doing what's called the red pepper sangria margarita. Mac, this one's for you. It's not a Bloody Mary. I know it looks like one. So
Actually, what I thought you were showing, but the lime didn't make sense to me.
no. So what it is it is tomato sauce or tomato juice, and then I actually ground up tomato in the blender. So it's in a blender. I put tomato juice, some whole tomato, some hot sauce, red pepper flake, jalapeno, and roasted red pepper. Blended that all up, and then it is basically you put that in a shaker with tequila. And on top, you get the lime, some jalapenos, and hot sauce to garnish
All
it.
right. Cool.
All right.
What hot sauce did you use?
It's Louisiana hot sauce.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it's not too fucking ridiculous.
So
which
I'm generally thankful that I'm not your asshole, but
I was
I'm
gonna
even
say, your
more,
asshole
I'm
says
even
thank
more
you.
so thankful today that I'm not your asshole. Yeah.
It burns when I pee. Oh yeah, because it wasn't hot enough. You had to eat the jalapeno.
Don't make my brown eye red.
Do any of you here like hot sauce?
Oh yeah.
I enjoy it when it has flavor. Like it's got a
yeah.
purpose.
Agreed.
If it's just pure pain,
No.
I do
Same.
not.
Absolutely
Yeah.
same.
I agree, and that's
If
one of the reasons.
if it adds layers or depths of to what I'm eating, then sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's why I like the Louisiana hot sauce as opposed to like a ghost pepper hot sauce. It's like that's just heat for the sake of heat, and I don't appreciate.
Well, and I'm actually curious, like in my lifetime, what's the hottest thing on the Scoville scale that I've had?
Probably jalapeno. I don't know. Have you
I
ever had
mean,
like a
it's
Scotch
probably,
bonnet
yeah,
or
habanero, but
Reaper whiskey.
yeah, right. And the reason I say that is because I mean I've had a couple of wings in my history where I was just like, my mouth is on fucking fire right now,
Right.
you know. But that I think it's the bomb. I think it is, or maybe it's the next one. It's I think it's in the ballpark of over 2 million Scoville, 5 times hotter than a habanero.
Yeah, that's just no.
You know, the Carolina Reaper is like 2.2 million Scoville.
Yeah, but again, what is that in terms of like when you eat something like that, not eat it, not in whiskey, that if you were just to bite into one of those, what is that impact? I'm curious. I mean, I've never done it. What is that? I
I'm
mean, is
guessing your
that
entire body.
like, yeah, you see people do it and like my face is numb, I can't feel it, I'm sweating, I'm sick in
sweating,
my stomach. I'm like,
yeah.
why is no, that's not even enjoyable.
No,
What's-
I have no desire to like routinely do that to myself.
No, that can't be good on your stomach either. I mean, it's got to tear you up in terms of like
I would
ulcers or
assume.
whatever. But all right, so that's what I'm doing. The red pepper sangria margarita. My Mac, I don't know if you like heat, Mac.
No,
Not
I
so
mean,
much?
again, I think I'm like everybody else, right? Heat for the sake of heat is not doing it for me, but if it brings flavor to something, then,
You're all
I'm
about it.
okay with it. Yeah. I do I like Indian food, um, which is usually pretty spicy, but I like Indian food and stuff like that in the privacy of my own home where, everybody's not looking and going, look at the gringo sweating his ass off,
That's right, which I currently am.
which you currently are.
Yeah, and my nose will start running. All right, so that's what I'm doing. So let's move on. Mac, what are you having today, brother? It's a Kentucky buck or a margarita?
No, it's a Moscow Mule.
That's close. That's close.
No,
A
fuck you guys. It is
Kentucky
not-
margarita.
It's a Kentucky
Kentucky
margarita. Is that a thing?
Moscow margarita. All right, what are you having, brother?
So yeah, I got a little bit of grief. I got poked fun of for kind of bringing the same thing every day. So I decided to mix it up, and I think something that nobody has actually ever done yet. I actually got a little classy today and brought a glass of red wine.
Big class of the Ron Burgundy.
I know, right?
Pinky
Santa
out.
Emma Reserve out of Chile. So that's what I'm drinking today.
How's the bouquet? Oh, you didn't. On
It's
the
got an
nose.
oaky afterbirth. No, it's pretty good.
I know you have a lot of wine or a fair amount of wine in your house.
No. We have a lot of shit in our house that has
okay.
turned.
You have bottles with alcohol in them that are shaped like wine bottles, and
bottles.
labeled like wine bottles. Are you generally a wine drinker?
I mean, I
Or-
will drink wine from time to time. Yeah,
But it's not something you will.
it's
generally
not something I
dive
go
into.
seek out and
Okay.
oh, I have to have this. But yeah, I mean, I'll enjoy a good bottle of wine every now and then.
Gotcha. Okay. Is that
I mean, I could not talk,
two wine?
intelligently with anybody
About
about
wine.
it. I know what I like, just like anything else.
Good thing we
It's
don't
a-
have a sommelier in the group. So
Which is why I brought it today
You're
when I knew we
safe.
wouldn't have a
There you
sommelier.
So just a simple glass of it's just
Simple
red
glass
wine?
of Merlot red wine.
Oh, Merlot. Okay. Fucking. I mean, if you're gonna drink it, I guess whatever. I mean, that's your thing.
There's a
As
bottle we
opposed
bought.
to
Well, like
There's a bottle we
Burgundy.
bought.
Cabernet,
It had to
a
be
Cabaret Sauvignon.
Yeah, or something like
a
that.
Pinot Noir.
Yes, or a Grigio. Are you a sweet, dry? What do you prefer?
I just really
Wine.
want this wine.
Wine,
piece to,
okay.
to wrap up
Yeah,
here.
Let's
can,
move
can
on.
we move on? We're losing Grinch quickly.
Did we start with him? All right, Grinch, what are you drinking, brother? I'm
Well, in
just
the
having a beer.
spirit of
If he brought wine.
hot,
In the spirit of
I
hot,
am having a hot buttered rum.
in the spirit of me,
Um,
I like it.
It is 1 tablespoon soft light brown sugar, 1 tablespoon unsalted butter softened, small pinch each of ground cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice, 50 mils darker golden rum, and a cinnamon stick to garnish. I didn't do the cinnamon stick, and I actually haven't tried it yet. It's in my insulated mug here. Ah, that's pretty good.
I wasn't sure about that first look at when you moved the
Yeah,
cup.
'cause
It's
the
like, I'm
eyes
not
said something different.
Like it hit you differently.
Yeah, I almost want like a little honey or something in there, but otherwise it's pretty good.
It's not sweet enough.
No, it's sweet enough.
Oh, well,
It's
you
just
said
more-
honey, and that's why I was like,
Yeah, it's not necessarily specifically to make it sweeter, but
God, I
it's
sure
good.
wish my drink had a little more bee vomit. That'd be tasty.
So yes, the hot buttered rum.
Hot buttered rum. There you go. And Haas, we're gonna wrap up with you, brother. What are you having today?
Don Papa rum.
Over ice.
Big glass, 1 cube.
Man's nothing if not simple.
I mean, simple,
Simple
but
man.
good.
Now, wait a minute. When
Yes,
I repeat
feel
the same
free,
thing.
Mac.
Yeah.
Feel free, Mac. Yes.
I get fucking shit for it. But,
Uh-huh.
well,
You're a
never
man
mind.
among
It-
men, Haas.
because-
Look at you. So
because
creative.
it's Haas.
When
Fair
was
enough.
the last time I had Don Papa rum?
It's the
I'd have to
single
actually like listen
ingredient.
to the show to be able to go back and
Right,
tell
and he
you.
doesn't
It's
do
been
that.
a long time since I've had Don Papa
Mm.
rum. Long time, because this is the last bottle I could find, and I had to track it down. So I've not had
Alright.
this in a
How
while.
many episodes do we have?
172.
All right. So I want you, Thor, to listen to all 172.
Excuse me.
And figure out how
I'm
many
not the one
Kentucky
calling the man
Bucks
out.
or Moscow Mules I've had.
Or
and we'll do the
margaritas.
percentage.
I
No,
bet
no, no.
you've had more margaritas, Moscow's Mules, and Kentucky Bucks than I've had rum, let alone Don Papa rum.
I can't argue with that. But what I got grief for was the
Uh-huh.
Kentucky Buck.
Yeah.
Grief. We
Yeah.
actually paid an
Not
homage to
grief.
you on the last
we were paying
episode.
tribute
I know
to you.
all three
all
of you,
had
and
it.
I know what was behind that homage.
Love and compassion.
Love and respect.
Sure, we'll go
Yes,
with
You know what?
that.
we missed you. It was a way to have. It was a way to have a taste of you in our mouth after having
At
missed
your
you.
expense.
I'm looking at Grinch's eyes, and Grinch's eyes say something different.
All right, gents. Well, your Don Papa's, your hot buttered rum, and your wine. My red pepper margarita. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, let's
Love you,
go to
Bishop
work.
Crew.
So, you know what? We kind of bandied about some topics this week, but never really fell on anything. And then we started to think. We cast our memory back, and we thought, you know what? We haven't really done kind of a lighthearted episode recently. They've all, I mean, it's not necessarily been like in the trenches digging dirt and like horrible, but some fairly heavy topics. And we thought, you know what? This is time. It's time for a light one. Then when first season, when we started, we kind of rotated on a regular basis. We do some heavy topics and we do a nice, lighthearted, fun, enjoyable topic. And we thought, you know what? It is time to do that again. So here we are. Haas was kind enough to send out 86 items that we could debate today and any others that we'd like to throw in just for good fucking measure. And so we thought we would just run down the list and see if we can hit all 86 in the next hour.
I don't know if we do all 86, but holy crap. I mean, there are some good ones on here, though.
Well, you know what, Haas? You brought it
Yeah.
to the table. I want you to pick the first one, throw it out there. Let's debate it and we'll move on. You know what? Actually, I'm going to throw out the first one because it got mentioned during our drink segment. And I
Yeah,
wanted to ask
yeah.
this question to you guys.
Wrong.
Okay.
Spice. At what point did saying something is spicy mean hot? Because spices had nothing to do with heat. Heat
Agreed.
did. But
Agreed.
now when we say, oh, that's spicy, they
What else? Like,
they mean heat, but that's not what
you
it would
could
mean
have
otherwise.
really good Indian food that's spicy, but not hot.
Right.
Well, but it can
Right.
be hot because of the spices they use.
Yeah.
So
True.
But
I
you
think
have
in
to
that-
ask. You have to ask for the heat, though. They don't
Because-
generally just give you hot Indian food. They give you, like-
Oh, apparently I'm going to the wrong place.
Well,
then.
in his defense, he's in
okay,
a
over
locale
here.
much closer to India than we.
Yeah. I'm just saying over here, like they have really good Indian food, right? And so when you go
Right.
in and you say, I want, butter chicken or you want lamb korma or whatever, they ask you, okay, cool. So you know what you're going to get flavor profile wise. And then they go, well, how hot do you want it?
They do the
Low,
same thing with
low,
pad
medium,
thai.
hot, or, you want to be like
Yeah.
blowing fireballs out your butt
well,
cheeks.
Right.
but what's the? And I don't know the answer to this. What is a traditional dish? I mean, it's just going to be hot, right?
Well, I mean, they do
mean, if
like
you-
their shit hot, bro.
Yeah, if you
for-
went
for
to
them,
India,
yes.
so they're looking at the pale white guy going, this motherfucker can't handle it. So they
So-
ask you how hot you want it,
It's like
right?
Ted
Funny you
Lasso.
say that.
We got to
Exactly.
make a dent.
Yeah,
We got to make a
yeah.
dent in this.
I
You
go
know,
I go with a guy who's from London all the time, and he grew up next door to a really good Indian restaurant, and so he is used to the spice, the heat. And so he goes when I go with him, and I'm like, nah, I'm medium tops. He's like hot, and I want you to bring extra peppers on the side. And they look at him and they start making bets, and they lose every time if they bet against him because he puts it all down and hardly breaks a sweat.
I'm pretty sure he loses later that night in the bathroom. You just don't see it.
Again,
Nobody wins, right?
Yeah,
I
neither
guess,
him nor the plumber.
and this is a conversation, and I
maybe
say
that's
this,
his way of not having to get colonoscopies.
Maybe keep it clean,
keeps them clean,
That's right.
is
like a whistle.
because it got brought up kind of not relevant to what I'm asking, but this is something I talked to my dad about because my dad is of the mindset, like you're saying, Haas, you talk about spice. Spice is there to flavor. Then if you're talking about heat, that's a whole nother conversation. Spicy should not and has never meant heat. But now in common vernacular, that's just a thing. And that's what we talk about. Like you were talking about Indian, you go into a Thai place, they will ask you about the spices, but then they ask a second question, which is, well, how hot do you want it? Because they understand there is a difference.
I'd prefer it to be, hot when it comes to the table, not warm.
Yeah, but not hot
Cold,
temperature wise, right?
I know,
That's the
right?
other
But
thing. People go,
that's the
"Hot
other thing.
temperature?"
That's the problem, right? They're like, Hot? Do you want it? Well, I want it hot when it comes to the table.
I want it fucking cooked.
Yeah.
So I wasn't aware if maybe that's something that you guys had heard or ever had an issue with, because I don't know why, I just have a fundamental issue when people are like, oh, it's spicy, and they mean hot, and it's not spicy because spices, and maybe it's the Emerald Lagasse. Bam! I got to put 47 spices on this thing.
Well, and I also think it's if someone says it's hot, the first thing you get back is temperature or spice. Like,
Well,
because you
it should
have
be
to
temperature.
tease that out.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I don't know what word you would use aside from spice.
Right. And again, that's an
And-
argument I do have with, okay, well, how else do you qualify heat or quantify
Mhm.
heat? You know, and so I get that. And I wasn't trying to derail us. It's simply because you're drinking a warm drink, or I'm assuming it's a hot drink, not hot temperature.
Yeah, hot temperature.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay. Now, obviously, mine is not hot temperature. Mine is hot
Yours is spicy.
with hot
Yours
sauce.
is cold temperature, but it's got some flavor
It's
and
got some
heat. To it.
heat. Yes,
Some
it
back
does. I
end
am
heat.
still
Back
fucking
end
sweating.
heat, not front end heat. Back end
Right.
heat. Okay.
So I was just curious. I just wanted to throw that out there. That's totally
But I guess the question also begs to, well, and we touched on it, right? Hot has to do with temperature, not spice, not, the flavor profile, I would think. So saying that it's hot, I would think, well, then you put it on the stove and warmed it up first.
But again, if I'm going to a restaurant and I'm ordering food, the expectation by default is it's going to be cooked. I want chicken, whatever. And they're like, oh, do you want that hot? Well, obviously, I would assume they mean, is it going to be heat from a spice perspective? Because I don't want you bringing me raw fucking
But
chicken.
you can't use heat and spice in the same sentence.
I don't know what the answer is.
You
That's why I'm
just said
throwing it
that
out
was your
there.
fundamental problem.
Let's be honest. It's only if you're in like a Thai restaurant or
Indian.
An Indian.
that's even a follow-up question.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's usually
unless
how many
you order
stars.
chicken wings, right? You know.
And then they go mild, medium, or hot, or extreme.
Yeah, because
or
I
nuclear.
mean, other cultures have spice, like Jamaican.
Jerk,
has
which
if
is,
you go to
has
like a-
is
jerk,
warm.
but it isn't.
But it's one.
Like,
it's one flavor, right?
If it came
it's
out and
hot.
it just was, burning your mouth down with spice, hot, you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
But if you go like at a Thai restaurant here, you get like drunken noodles. The follow-up question is, how hot do you want it?
Well, I guess the interesting point is spice imparts flavor. As we're talking like what I'm doing, and the hot ones, that heat comes from peppers. Pepper's not a spice. That's a pepper. That's a vegetable of some kind, right? It's a habanero. It's a jalapeno. It's a ghost pepper. That's not.
But it's not. It's
not even a
cold
fucking
or
spice.
cold, warm, or hot either. So what would you
Grinch, look at Grinch.
qualify?
I don't even know where we're
It's
going
the
with
common
this.
vernacular now. I mean,
And
it
it's
is
wrong.
That doesn't make it right, though.
Right.
Okay,
It is
well,
wrong.
you're gonna have
Grinch's
this
like, I ain't changing my shit. I don't
pedantic
care.
approach to the wording of a flavor profile.
Right. I just want it to be right. It's like, if
Where would you say this is on Scoville?
right. It's like pronouncing it Qatar or Cutter. It matters to someone somewhere. Veen,
I mean, not me.
Munchin. It matters. So, all right. So let's move on. Haas, I want you to pick a topic. I apologize for derailing us there.
No,
Sorry,
you're
was
fine.
just-
I was actually
Oh,
going.
we're on the rails.
Because I'm like,
We're on the
yeah,
rails.
we live on the rails, bro.
Yeah, we do.
Like,
Right on the edge.
whatever.
So give us one, brother. Pick one
Yeah.
off this
And
86.
there's- I don't know. This
Like
is the
that
first-
railway up in Ohio. That's the rail we're
Yeah,
on.
sad. I
Yeah,
hope
we are.
not.
It's
No,
not
that would be unenjoyable.
If you don't have one, I got one.
I mean, I got several here. I mean, the first one I think is a doozy. The second one's a doozy. All right, no, I'll do the second one. Are women more complicated than men, or are men more complicated than women?
All right,
Well,
let's move
define
on. What was
complicated.
the second one?
Uh-huh. That's the second one. Yeah.
Are women more complicated than men, or are
Yeah.
men more complicated than women?
I think the basis of that question is framed in how culture has projected men and women. Like, I don't think the answer is yes or no. I think it's how they've been portrayed for years, like the going back to like the 50s and 40s of just just the woman, what she's supposed to be doing, taking care of the
stereotypes.
house, yeah.
Right.
And equally, I mean, as we've said, men are emotional, men are complicated as well, or can be, based on personality, emotional IQ, etc. It's just it's just you got to get out of that Hollywood representation that was there for so long. It's not just Hollywood; it's media,
Society
broadly.
at large.
Yeah. So I don't think it's a yes no answer. Is my response.
Mac, what about you? You mean I'm assuming when you say it's not a yes no, you're saying it's a complicated answer.
Right.
There you go. Look
Right.
at that.
And as
I
a
think we're-
complicated ass myself at times, like,
Are you? Seem
Yeah,
fairly
probably,
straightforward. Most of
probably.
the time.
Difficult and complicated are two different things.
Cool. Fair point. Fair point. That's it.
Mm.
I'm sorry, Mac. What about you?
No, I think I agree with Grant, right? I mean, you know, it's a very loaded question, and there is no simple answer for it, because, you know, you're painting with a broad brush now, because every woman's different and every man's different. So to say that, you know, one gender is more complicated than the other, and define complicated. Are we talking emotional? Are we talking biologically complicated? I mean, you know, it's you know, I know we're picking, you know,
Well,
My head hurts.
question,
I mean,
right?
right. I mean, even think, you talk about words like hysterical and where they came from, and, the notion of the fearful of the educated woman back in like medieval times and before, and frankly, influences of the church of trying to define what a woman's role is in the world. Like, I take issue with all that, because absent all that, the question wouldn't probably make any sense.
Right.
If you were at a culture that hadn't been exposed, some remote tribe, and you walked out and you're like, okay, who's more complicated? They look at you like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right.
They don't even
We
realize
don't
there's
even
a
know
difference.
what's
you
the
know,
word complicated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I guess for me, yes, that all of that have to be relevant factors. Is it, like you said, is it biological? Is it emotional? Men tend to be viewed as less complicated because we do kind of keep our emotions very close. We tend to not be as outward, like you said, kind of that stoic, your father's father, be a man, rub some dirt on it, move on. Like, yes, so it belies a lack of complication, even though it all does exist for us, just like it does for women. And they say, oh, well, women are super emotional, so they must be complicated. I don't see how that's necessarily equates either. Because you can have some fucking irrational women.
You have some irrational men.
100% irrational men.
Yeah.
They're just plain dumb. So
Those are outliers, right? That's not the
norm.
The meat, right?
We hope, but then you see stuff every day, and you're like, maybe it is the norm, and I'm the outlier.
All right, so let me rephrase this. When was the last time any of you went to your wife and said, "You know what? I just need some cuddle time. Like I'm feeling down. I'm feling low. Feeling
Define
lonely."
cuddle time.
Okay, yeah.
No, not
I
sexual.
approach
Not
you
sexual,
with
bro.
romantic intent.
No, not sexual. You just wanted to like straight up just cuddle. Like you just wanted to be near them. Like you needed to be near them.
I
Yep.
do understand the question. I'm
Yeah,
actually
I
just
do
fucking
too.
with you.
So my point is, and I guess the reason I come up with this is because I kind of feel like as a man, I'm not as complicated. I need a few basic things to be happy: food, sex,
And
place to stay.
compliments.
Yep.
Food, water, and compliments.
And
I
a
mean, like
haircut.
really, like I'm not.
Your hair looks
I
good
don't.
today, by the way.
Yeah, right. I don't even. I need none of that. And it's nice to have it. It's nice to get it. I don't need it.
I would say I mean fairly regularly. Like I don't have a problem cuddling. I think because I'm
I can
a man.
attest to that.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying
okay,
I
but
think
let's flip
because
the
I'm a
script.
man, if I want to cuddle, I think my wife naturally goes, "Oh, he wants to have sex." No.
Well, okay, yes.
Well, yes, but
and,
not
and
necessarily
why?
in this
And
case.
why is that a thing? But on the flip side, when was the last time the wives came to you and went, I'm having an off day or an off week or it's been rough, whatever. Can we just cuddle? Can we just hang out? I just need to be near you.
No, because the same reason. I think she thinks if I do that, he's going to want sex. Because there's somehow I'm instigating something if I just want to cuddle that he's going to take like, oh, she must want to have sex. Let's
that's
go.
more about you then, because she's playing the percentages of, we
saying.
cuddle 50
But again, I think what I'm
times it
saying,
is
what
sex.
I'm hearing here is men are more basic, and men and women are more complicated and crafty. Like they get where we're coming from. We're basic. We only need a few simple things.
It is pure and simple. It is white men can't jump.
Okay.
I tell you I'm thirsty. Woody Harrelson goes and gets a glass of water. He wants to solve the problem. And Rosie Perez says, I want you to empathize with me, not get me a glass of water. And he fucking throws it in her face. He's like, if you tell me if I tell you I'm thirsty, I want a glass of water. I don't give a fuck about you empathizing with me. And she's like, I want you to know what it means to be thirsty. And I was like, there you go.
I've lived
That's what it is.
life. I know what it's like to be thirsty.
Right. And I think that's where, men, we try to be, or I know I am, like problem solvers. You tell me something's wrong, I try to solve the problem. I don't sit around and go, oh, well, what's that like? Let me sympathize. Let me empathize. That doesn't make me less complicated just because I want to solve the problem.
See, and the wife and I have a thing now. When one of us comes to the other one with a problem or situation, we ask them, am I just listening or am I here to help you solve this? Right. That's our new thing that we've been doing the last like year or two or whatever. It's because she doesn't always want me to solve shit. She just wants to bitch.
Right.
She wants to vent. She wants to get
The
off her
most.
chest.
Yes.
Let go of it.
No, we've had a similar experience of, clarifying what's about to transpire, right? Because we know we vented from work, and maybe it's more that it's presumed on the front end that it's like, I'm just telling you what this guy's a fucking idiot, Well, why don't you? No. You know what? I don't.
That's not the purpose.
I don't want it to
here.
go on for a whole
Right.
conversation. I
Right.
just want to vent it out and move on
And be done.
and vice versa, is because sometimes you're not good at recognizing, like, I'm actually doing the exact same thing that I don't like,
Right.
so I just need to shut up right now.
Just move on. Right.
In there. Yeah, that's how we got to where. Yeah.
And maybe that's a good approach. Maybe it is like, look, am I here to solve the problem or here to just listen? Because I get into that a lot with my wife. She'll be venting about work, and in my head, I'm going, okay, what can I do to solve the problem? And then she'll be like, look, I just want to emote. I need to get it out and be done with it and move the fuck on and never talk about it again. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, fuck.
That's a cathartic process for a lot of
It
people.
is.
I know I'm that way. Like I bitch and I'm done. Like it's me letting go of. I get on the soapbox, I drop this shit, and I keep going.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I think
Thanks.
ultimately the point
Fun
here
debate.
that Grinch made right at the beginning. It's a complicated question. There's no easy answer. Both are complicated in their own right. That's why we're a mess when you put the two together.
All right, this one was talked about earlier, just briefly.
No, you did one. We're moving on to somebody else.
Oh, we're rotating. Okay.
Oh, we're rotating. You got yours.
Rotate. Okay.
Rotate. Mac, I want you to do you have the list in front of you?
Yeah, I cede my spot on the floor to the gentleman from the great state of Haas. Haas,
Oh, is
go
that
ahead,
what this
please,
is?
sir.
Well, okay, well then
You've lost complete control.
did I ever have it to lose it?
No.
It's a complicated
Not really.
situation.
I mean, yeah, you kind of have it control.
Because I can just edit you
control
completely
of
out
a bunch of
anyway.
wet cats in a sack.
Hold on loosely,
So I
but
have
don't
one.
let go.
I have one.
No.
So
My time has gone to
when you
Haas.
said this,
I will
today,
filibuster the
earlier,
shit out
Haas,
of this thing and just
You
keep
better have a
talking
book to read.
and not
Motherfucker pulls up green eggs and hammers.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know why you think that we have to listen to this shit. So when you asked earlier today, would you rather be deaf or blind? I don't know why that stuck with me, but honestly, I've been thinking about that one because that one is.
It's a doozy, right?
It's a hell of a debate. Again, I think for most of us here, like we all like music. I don't know that I'd want to give up my ability to listen to music.
Can I add the caveat, the additional question to be answered and considered of from birth, or if it happens after 20 years?
Oh, so you're,
Well,
I
I think since
either
we've
of them
all had
suck
the
if they happen
privilege of
after, 'cause you've
hearing and
had-
seeing, we can only really attest to after the fact, right?
right, because you don't know what you are missing if you're
Well,
born
right,
that
and
way.
that's right. I mean, particularly with blindness, I think.
Yeah.
You would, because. Sorry, finish your thought.
No, well, again, I think to your point, if you don't miss it, then there's no real sacrifice, right?
Right.
But
If you
you're
don't
doing it
know
right
what
now-
you don't have, you don't
Right.
care.
Right.
Or you
And-
don't care as much. I mean, I won't say you don't care because you do care, but you definitely learn as you get older. Like in the grand scheme of things, it is what it is, and you learn to deal with it, right?
Right.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
But once you
say-
have something that you
Right.
really, really like having, and it's taken from you, that sucks.
Yeah.
right now, if you had to lose one sense, whether it would be hearing or seeing, which would it be?
Are you asking me, or that's for the
It's
group?
just, I think that's the question, right? I think that's the better question.
Right, yeah, I mean, I thought about this after you said it today, Haas, and I'm like, I don't fucking know because there's a thousand reasons why I want both.
Yeah.
And
I think the independent aspect of me would prefer the hearing, so I can
Still
function
see and-
physically.
right.
That's just the way I lean, and maybe it's just an independent aspect of I feel like I could be more effective as a human, alone or with someone, if I'm able to see, because you can still communicate, you know, and by other means, whether it's sign language, etc. Sure, the joy of music is really interesting. I mean, I think about the fact that I don't know when it started, but watching these sign language folks at concerts is really interesting. You know, the one that comes to mind that's fairly recent was Limp Bizkit doing Lollapalooza, because at one point Fred Durst walks over next to her, I think it is, you know, and when it's just guitar heavy, it's just like doing this air guitar, you know. So I don't know, it's really interesting. Obviously any of the senses,
You hate to lose.
I mean, and I'll use the example of like COVID, when people were losing taste.
And
They said
smell.
it freaked them out.
Mhm.
It freaked them out when they went to bite into something and they were just like, what the
It
fuck?
tastes like
Well,
Like,
I mean,
cardboard.
it's scary as fuck, right? Because if you can't taste or smell something's gone bad,
Or you're getting
and it
poisoned
could,
by
and
your
it,
wife with
and it
arsenic.
could, right, right.
All right.
Woof.
So there you go. Grinch would prefer to lose hearing if you had to pick one of the two. Mac, what about you, brother?
Hearing, I think, definitely.
Hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. Haas?
Probably eyesight. I mean, to live without music, I just don't know what kind of life that is. But here's the problem. No, you know what? I love watching sports and playing video games and
All
working
the
out. I don't,
sunsets you'd
yeah,
never
working
see.
out. Yeah, I just don't know. Again, yeah, I don't know how you exist without hearing. That would blow.
Yeah, but again, I guess for me, I'm trying to be a little more pragmatic and I go, okay, technological advances, hearing versus the optic nerve. I'd probably sacrifice hearing in the hopes that they'll generate some way
Yeah.
to allow you to hear, or like Grinch, like, you know, you hear these things about people, they'll lay on speakers to feel the music, right? But if you're blind, how do you do that? How do you see a sunset? How do you, you know,
All right, so we're all going with hearing.
I think hearing, yeah, as much as I would hate it,
Yeah.
I would think
well,
hearing.
and I'm thinking of that scene from Minority Report when he gets his eyes changed.
Oh,
And
yes.
he's trying to follow the string to
Yeah,
the
he's gotta
refrigerator, and
stay
he
there
keeps
for a
getting all the
while.
wrong things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because honestly, and I know we've mentioned this before, I can't imagine living a life like yours, Haas, with what you've had to deal with for the last 40 plus years in terms of, you know, but like you said, you've never had it, so you didn't miss it in terms of your whatever disability or handicap, whatever it was. And I can't imagine like waking up tomorrow and being in that situation, like going, okay, how would I function? Where you've had 40 years to adjust and learn to operate.
The only time it's really bothered me or pissed me off or freaked me out since I was a kid, because when I was a kid, you know, you're still learning to figure shit out on many levels, a lot of it emotional levels, was when I destroyed my left rotator cuff playing sand volleyball in that sand volleyball league in Vegas. And I had to have complete reconstruction on my rotator cuff. I had no use of my left arm for the better part
Couldn't
of like
jerk
2
off.
months. Oh, bro.
I'll say
Bro.
it. I mean, right?
Don't kid yourself. High price call girl, low rent hooker. Don't kid yourself, bro. Where there's a will, there's a way, my friend.
I made it work.
That wasn't the problem. The problem
He
was
got really
I
flexible.
couldn't lift my arm up because when they go in and cut the rotator, you can't move your arm up. Like
No
it,
offense. How high do you got to lift your arm up, bro?
Well, try
how do you
wiping
get
your.
plates? How do you get plates? How do you get cups? How do
I'm
you get
sorry. I
stuff
thought
out
we were
of the
talking about
fridge?
jerking off.
No, well,
Yeah.
Like,
How about
fucking
try
high you
wiping
gotta
your
lift
ass
arm.
with your
Yeah.
offhand?
right,
yeah.
exactly, bro.
Invest
Like
in a
that was the
bidet.
only time where I was like, man, if I ever lose my left arm, I am in a world.
You're
of
getting a
motherfucking
bidet, is
hurt.
what you're getting.
It's
Bro,
it.
I'm going to like the most generous government on the planet that has social health care, and I'm saying, please give me support. And I prefer her to be blonde, tone.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So we are
just kidding.
saying everybody would prefer to be deaf if
Yep.
we had our option. Okay. Moving on. All right, Grinch, pick one off the list, throw it at us. Let's
Pirate
debate
or
some shit.
ninja?
I'm sorry?
Pirate or ninja?
Fucking pirate.
Ninja,
Pirate.
100% ninja.
Why so certain? You
Ninja.
just pirates head and
100%.
shoulders above a ninja?
Fuck
I
yeah.
think
No, it's
Pirates
not.
have
No
a
way.
whole
Disagree.
boat, have a whole crew.
Yeah.
At
But
their disposal.
ninjas didn't control
They're-
the high seas.
Yeah, they're
Rum.
raping, pillaging.
They didn't
Rum.
rape and ninjas don't
Hey,
rape
I want to
and
be
pillage.
stuck on a boat with a bunch of stinky ass men
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
No, I'm good.
That's why
I'm
they were
good.
raping
No.
and
Of course, there
pillaging.
was scurvy.
Mm-mm.
So
Raping
you know,
and
I'm
you got
going-
pillaging each other.
Eat some
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
oranges. Shut the fuck up with
I'm-
scurvy. Eat
I'm
oranges.
going out,
Ninja.
killing who I'm supposed to kill, and then I'm
and then
getting a
boom,
hot
you're
shower.
a phantom. You're
Right?
gone.
Thank you. Yeah. No, ninja. Fuck that pirate bullshit.
Ninja, 100%, 100%
Thank you.
ninja.
Well,
Yeah.
let's be honest.
They
how is
don't
that
even make
different
any
than
good
Grinch's
ninja
daily life right
movies.
now, right?
Throwing
He's a
stars.
ninja.
That's right.
Throwing stars are so
When you were a
cool.
kid, right? Everybody's like, I just want to be a
Damn
ninja.
right.
They just want to
You
throw
went
a star.
with the different magazines that sold them in the back, and you would order it, and then
You're
you
like,
go to
oh
the side
shit,
of
that's in the
you
wall.
go to the side of the house and throw it against the house. Yeah.
I used to
They're-
make them out of
they're-
paper.
Are you saying there were no magazines selling peg legs and hooks and hands?
Some of
Disney
us
didn't do no ninja movie. They did a pirate movie. Peter
No,
Pan.
there haven't been a lot of ninja movies. And I'm discounting
Well,
that
there are
GI
no
Joe
good ones.
bullshit that they
Snake
tried to
Eyes.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Snake Eyes was actually pretty good.
Storm Shadow is technically the ninja.
Yeah.
Snake Eyes got hurt
fair
in
enough.
Vietnam, which is why he wore the mask.
Right. I'm just saying they don't
Did
make
we really
good,
go
like,
down that path?
in the
Yes, we did.
80s they had
That
their
was
slew
awesome.
of ninja movies, American Ninja series. They were shit. Fucking garbage ass movies. But I'm just saying, nobody's
Well,
done really good.
would you-
Maybe
would
that's
you-
the problem.
I guess you wouldn't consider the Karate Kid a ninja.
No. Fuck no. Maybe if they had made some better ninja movies when I was a kid, I'd be like, I want to be a ninja.
Well,
didn't do
Wayne's
that.
World,
There-
when he
there are
opens that
no-
door.
There are no ninja movies on my list.
No, there's not, for good fucking reason.
All right, fine. I'm looking this shit up. Best ninja movies.
In the meantime, Mac, what's your question? What's your
I don't know how you spell his name. His name was Shokusagi. He was an actor in the 80s, was in a lot of ninja movies. But you'd have to know how to spell his name to look him up. But yeah.
The Killer Elite from 1975.
Which I think they remade with Jason Statham, The Killer Elite.
Shinobi, Heart Under Blade,
Uh-huh.
2005.
I can't believe we're wasting time
Ninja
on
3,
this.
The Domination from 1984.
Uh-huh.
The Octagon, 1980.
Mm-hmm.
You Only
All
Live
of these
Twice,
were right up there with
1967.
Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Oh, how could I pass up on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, exactly.
Go turtle, go
Ninja,
turtle, go.
Shadow
Now,
of a Shadow of a Tear.
Now, 70s and
2013.
80s kung fu movies, I was all about as a kid.
But those aren't ninja movies.
But they're
are they?
not
Right.
ninja. Exactly.
The 5 Element Ninjas from 1982 is the number one on this list.
Yeah, exactly. Go look that up. Go watch it. Tell me what you think. Okay.
I mean, look, just because there's been better pirate movies doesn't mean being a pirate would be better.
No, I'm not saying it would be. It was simply a conversation. He asked, which would you rather
Yep.
be? That would be my choice.
I think a ninja would be a much lonelier life, right?
It would be
No,
obscure.
really.
There's no
So,
life
so
was
being on a
perfect.
boat with a bunch of stinky, smelly dudes is not going to be a lonely
Mhm.
life.
Yeah,
So
but you're
I'm
hitting
good.
ports.
You're
you
hitting
know, all the
ports, you're hitting
different
other
ports.
boats.
Right,
Sure.
right.
Yeah, I know the ports you're going to be hitting. It's
I
the
mean, you
dudes next
asked
to your
Grinch-
butthole.
You asked Grinch this morning, would you rather be poor and honest or rich and dishonest? And his answer was,
Without skipping a beat.
I would rather be rich. Same thing with a pirate. Ninjas, there's no wealth there.
Yes, there is.
You're
Are
a
you
hired
could be.
fucking assassin.
There could be.
There's
There
not.
absolutely
You're a
could
hired
be.
assassin. That's your job.
pirate? You got to split that booty with all the other pirates.
Well, what about the money?
Yeah, not if I'm the captain. I get the big lion's share. That's the whole point. Now, the
Okay.
Look
question
at me.
wasn't
Look
the
at me.
question. The question wasn't, hey, do you want to be a fucking lowly little first mate, or do you want, like, if I'm going to be a pirate, I want
I
to
would
be a fucking
assume, yeah,
captain.
you're the
Pirate
captain.
captain,
You're the
fair enough,
pirate
fair enough.
captain. Not
They do have cool flags. I'll say that.
Yes.
Still rather be a ninja.
Well, hey, and that's cool. I have
You
much
do get to
respect for
keel
that.
haul people, which, by the way,
Ain't no joke.
know what that was until watching what was it? Damn it. Was it Black Flag?
Black Sails.
Black Sails. You didn't know what keel
I-
hauling was?
I have no idea.
I
so
just had
let's
never really
discuss
given
that
it
real
thought.
quick.
It is. You put
You-
somebody over the front of the boat and you drag them the length of the boat down the keel.
Oh, okay.
Over the barnacles.
Yes.
So it's basically just chewing you
Scraping.
up.
And it's the long side of the boat. You're probably not going to survive being underwater that long.
Yeah.
That,
and
that
there's a
was what it
scene
was.
in Black Sails where they do it, and you're just like,
Damn.
oh, fuck me.
And they've never
This
made
is-
good ninja series. Like Black Sails was a good fucking series. If you
So
haven't seen it,
Hollywood has influenced you, is what you're saying.
maybe. Maybe. Look, as a kid,
What
if
what
you
I'm
asked me when
hearing
I
is
was
there's an
10,
opportunity here because there's an unsaturated marketplace for
Pirate
good
Ninjas.
ninja shows and
Oh,
movies.
Pirate ninjas.
Now, if you'd asked
That
me
would
if I
be
wanted to buy, I'd be a
badass.
pirate
Pirate
ninja.
ninjas. You guys are killing me. Jesus criminy.
All right, so there we go. We've been around the room. Mac, do you want to do this? You're going to sacrifice your time to Haas.
I thought I already sacrificed my time to Haas.
Yeah, and
He picked this question.
So
No, I'll go this
going?
time. So, I've seen a couple articles come up here. So this is kind of an interesting question. There's been some articles that have come through my feed, which makes me question what I'm searching.
you know what you're searching.
I know what I'm searching, but it's about teachers. Quite frankly, young female teachers who are dressing. I don't want to say provocatively, but
What
maybe a
are
little
you
provocatively,
searching?
and yeah, right. But the question on here is, should teachers be required to wear uniforms?
Should they be
Specifically
required
uniform or a specified dress
or
code?
specific dress code?
The question,
I mean, you can make the call, whatever you want. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. You're in charge.
I would say a school uniform.
Do the students have to wear a uniform as well, or adhere to a dress code as well?
That's a whole
Depends on the
separate question.
school. Depends on the school, and yes can be the answer on both counts depending on that school. I mean, there's
Yeah,
always a
we're
dress
talking
code.
specifically for teachers.
I think the teachers, having been the only person in
And
this
I was
group
going to
that's
say,
been a teacher,
is there a dress code that you have to adhere to typically as a teacher? I would assume some semblance of a dress code.
yes. I mean, for males, it was slacks, a polo. You could wear I mean, you could get as dressy as you wanted.
Right,
but
right. Minimum.
You needed to wear jeans or slacks, closed-toed shoes, and then either it was a polo or a button-up shirt, something like that. You couldn't wear a t-shirt. But I mean, we had ran the gamut. I mean, we had teachers show up in fucking a vest and a tie and a blazer, and some teachers were like, but then you go, oh well, the fucking gym teachers show up in fucking.
Well, that's a little bit
shorts.
different, right?
Right.
Because they're teaching gym.
Right.
We're talking your standard core curriculum.
I always wore jeans, closed-toed shoes, and a polo shirt. That was my standard as a teacher. So I think there has to be a dress code. How professional or unprofessional can be the discussion at that point. But no, I don't think teachers should be men shouldn't be coming in shorts unless, as we said, you're like a physical education teacher.
Right.
Women shouldn't be coming in short skirts, low cut blouses. I mean, there needs to be some professionalism because you are a professional in that field.
Right.
So, but in terms of going, well, you have to wear a uniform. No, I would say no.
Okay. Grinch?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily like overly scripting and militarizing certain settings. And yeah, I'm okay with grooming standards, as we would say in the military. But uniforms, I think's a little over the top.
So dress code to some extent.
Yeah, dress code, sure.
But not, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we were all in the Reserves Officer Training Corps when we were in high school. Would that class have been any different if our instructors were not in uniform day in and day out? Would it have mattered?
Yes.
You think so? As
I don't
opposed to them
think
coming
so.
in slacks and a polo?
Yep, absolutely.
Why?
Why?
Because it's a pillar of that community. It's a pillar of that job.
But you weren't required to wear a uniform every day.
Well,
No, but we were once a week every
once
Friday,
a week.
right?
I think
Thursday.
there's a certain
yeah.
Or whatever it
I
was.
think there's a certain symbolism that goes along with that in particular. Because it's military.
because that's
military
part
wears
of the-
uniforms
yeah.
and has dress code and
When you were in
know,
college, did your instructors were always in uniform?
yes.
Or did they wear BDUs?
But
or
you were
something like
not.
that?
No, they wore BDUs mostly. Yeah,
So
weren't,
they
like,
weren't in the
Class A's
dress.
or anything. No.
Yeah.
So
they were
if,
BDUs.
if ROTC was okay, once a week, Wednesday, Thursday, you're in full uniform. The rest of the week, you got to wear BDUs. Would you have done it? Like you had to dress that way every day.
Well, I mean, to me, that's starting to sound a lot like a military academy,
Right.
as opposed to I'm a high school student who is in ROTC that comes with certain requirements.
But you do have schools that require all students to adhere to a dress code of a uniform.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, but that's not a public school. That's a private institution.
Yeah, it's private or
that
charter or
You're
something like that.
electing to go into
Right.
knowing those standards.
But I'm just saying, if you elected to go into an ROTC program and they said these are our standards, would you have gone into it in high school and said, okay, I'll wear BDUs 4 days out of the week and a uniform? The school will provide them. Would you still have done it, or would you be like, no, I'm not doing that. I want some kind of individuality for myself.
Me at this age almost thinks like, you mean I don't have to think about what I'm wearing? You know?
Right? It's funny
Fair
how the
enough.
perspective changes.
Yeah.
Well, Grinch, what do you just wear? What, like a t-shirt and jeans, or t-shirt and shorts to work?
Wherever I want.
Yeah.
I wear pajamas because I literally go 3
Yeah.
feet from the bed to
Yeah.
the desk.
Yeah. I mean, shorts, long pants,
Yeah.
none of that. Nobody cares about that. And I mean, it's more practical because you get dirty, you get beer on you, you're in sometimes tight spaces,
Hot.
moving hoses and stuff around, you get hot. Like, it's more practical decision making than, you know, whatever. Like this is what's expected.
Fair play.
But every job's different, right? I mean, so I would expect in that kind of a situation or setting, like I don't think Grinch is wearing flip flops to work either, right? He's wearing closed toe shoes
For
probably
protective purposes,
for
right?
protective purposes,
Absolutely.
right? But again, because of the scenario where he's at, and in the situation he's in, in a warehouse, shorts make sense, especially in the South, because during the summer it's going to get warm.
Well, as you all know, I dipped out of ROTC halfway through my junior year. Part of the reason was I got tired of the rigmarole of every week I had to fucking shine my shoes and I had to press my uniform and you had to go through inspection, and I was just like, I was fucking tired of it. I was like, there was a certain level of individuality that was gone, at least for that one day. And yes, there's camaraderie because you're going, well, we're all in the same boat, right? We're all paddling in the same direction because we're all dealing with the same shit if you're in ROTC. But I'm less like, it's not there was some structure to it that I was like, no. And I can tell you it as a freshman, if they'd have said you got to wear BDUs 4 days out of the week, I'd be like, nope, I'm not doing it.
You can still show up with a mohawk,
yes,
in uniform, at least one time,
at least once, until they pull you aside. Yeah, but Grinch, what you said was, if I had to think about it now, but go back to being 16, would you have been okay with it, or 14 when you first got in?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think I at the time thought I would be going into the military, so
that was a track you were going to pursue.
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
Haas, what about you, brother?
What?
Would you have gone into ROTC and done all that? Like, if they had said there's more structure, you're going to wear BDUs 4 days out of the week, a uniform, you still would have gone?
Yeah. In fact, my mom and I had this conversation when I was back home this past Christmas. She says she wishes that she would have allowed me to go to Texas A&M, where I had that scholarship.
And you'd have been in the ROTC
which is what I wanted. I wanted something with more structure. I wanted something with more uniform. And I wish I had gone to A&M on that scholarship. But yeah, no, that's what I was looking for.
Okay. Mac, do I need to ask? Would
well,
you
what do you think?
I would say
apparently
no.
You have an idea already.
No, well, I know you got disillusioned a year later than I did, or half a year later than I did, but whatever. It's like, would you, if there had been that much structure, would you have been okay with it? I mean, that's, since you're asking if teachers had to be that structured.
I think maybe at the time, yes, I probably would have been okay with it, because I think, kind of to Grinch's point, at that age, I kind of thought maybe my path would have been law enforcement or military. So I probably would have been okay with doing something like that. Obviously, that's not what happened.
Yeah, except then, as you mentioned, you went and you were on the wrestling team. You went and got a mohawk cut, which you had to know was not going to fly.
Yeah,
because it was outside the standard of the class, and you were reprimanded for it.
Yeah, I was.
So I'm saying, and that was early on.
That was my freshman year.
That's early on.
Yeah, that's like the very beginning. But again, that's team camaraderie. So isn't that kind of some of what the military is about?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I've never been in it.
I haven't either, but
I shaved my whole head with the soccer team, but that doesn't affect the standard because I didn't have any hair left.
Right.
Right.
They couldn't really argue. Exactly. All right. So there we go. Should teachers have to have a dress code? Yes. Should it be a uniform? I don't think so.
And I think most teachers probably do have a dress code that they have to adhere to.
Absolutely.
But if it's a dress code, there's probably some,
think even more so when you're
The
dealing with
lines
young,
you can-
impressionable minds, right? Like teachers
Well,
should
yeah.
have a standard, right? A professional
Kindergarten
standard to
kids
be
is
met.
different. You know, it's different wearing one outfit in front of like kindergartners or third graders as it is, in front of like freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors in high school.
Right.
Well, the funny thing is the transition from grade school to college or university, because you go from it being a thing to professors have a look, they kind of have a standard attire, but nobody gives a shit what the students are wearing. And you could have a class of like 250 and there'll be people in there in pajamas. You've seen kind of some of the funny things, kid bringing a pillow in, and that's the interesting, I guess, difference that I ponder a little bit, because one is you have to keep moving on.
Did I just lose
Is
him?
it time to reboot the router?
I'm like, I think, yeah.
All right. I'm going to go get a refill while we're waiting for him to come back then.
Okay, hold on a sec. Yeah, we lost you, Grinch.
Yeah, I could tell I froze up, so I just stopped. I don't know how much you got of that.
None. The minute you started, it locked up.
Something about a kid with a pillow.
Yeah, kid with a pillow.
Oh, I was just saying, you've seen the funny pictures with like people bringing pillows and stuff in, and they're in their pajamas,
right,
or whatever. I mean, the professors and TAs, by and large,
don't give a shit. Did this really?
Can somebody take a picture of that real quick?
This is clearly a rant.
That's awesome.
This is a rant that technology
Matt, go
does
get your
not
drink.
want him to
Go
have.
get your drink, Matt. Go get your drink.
Going to.
Yeah.
We'll try this again.
For whatever reason, the internet's unstable.
Does
right
not
now.
want you making that point. That's what the internet's doing. It's
Turn
almost the
video off.
exact same place. That's fucking great. Oh shit.
We are gonna. College may be a factor.
Say that again. You broke up again. What?
We are going to change this computer out, which might be a factor.
There you go. That's one way to do it. Just kill the camera. Don't need up too many cycles. Yeah, and it's funny because I would talk to my mom about her going to college at the University of Florida in the 60s. She's like, I'd go barefoot and I'd bring my own ashtray, because you could smoke in class, but you had to bring your own ashtray. And she's like, and so I'd go to class barefoot with an ashtray. I'm like, well, that's different because you can't do that shit now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine sitting in college and they're just fucking smoking? I'm like, holy shit.
I mean, one, it's smaller class sizes, and they're I'll go as far as to say legally required. Like you're legally required to get to a certain point in education, but college is like, hey, you paid to be here.
You do whatever you want.
You do whatever you want. You either survive or you don't.
Right.
And so it's so funny that you go from that point to where the attire is just not even a thing.
Right.
Like if you were to bring it up and be like, well, are you allowed to wear that to class? The response would be like, what are you talking about? I'm going sweatpants and flip-flops, It reminds me of the practicality the Army dealt with, going from you will have starch pressed BDUs on every Monday to totally getting rid of starch as a thing and polishing boots, as it kept evolving through its uniform iterations to a much more practical, easy to maintain, more of an emphasis on function than form. And, and of course, like it just blew my mind when I was in the Army, and I'm like, so let me get this straight. We do a uniform inspection every Monday in the motor pool before we get ready to work on vehicles. What the fuck? Why not a Tuesday?
Right. When it's
and then
not relevant.
Right. You'd have a pair of boots for the field, and then a pair of boots you just kept polished.
Shined.
How
many of you hated shining shoes?
I hated it. Fucking hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a freshman, when I was a freshman, I would, you get the fucking shoe polish in the rag or whatever, and then you're buffing the shoe. And then by the time I was a junior, I was getting that liquid fucking shit. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm not like spit polishing. I'm like, I'm not going through this shit anymore. Fuck that. Once a week. I'm like, no, thanks.
Yeah. 100%.
So, all right, let's move on. New topic. What do we got here? What do we got? So that was Mac. So Haas, what about you, brother? Throw another one up, because that came from Mac with the dress code and the teachers.
Yeah, so many good ones. I feel like. All right, let's go to classic. What's better, DC Comics or Marvel Comics?
Marvel.
What
Moving
are we
on.
talking
Marvel,
about? Are we
100%.
talking about the comic book
Yep,
or the entire
the entire universe, everything.
universe?
Yeah,
For me personally, it's DC, but that's how I was raised. I had the Dark Knight comic as a kid. You know, I've got the graphic novel. Yes, I think Marvel has managed to, obviously, in recent decades, they have capitalized on the entire universe in terms of movies and series, you know, memorabilia, all of that shit. Obviously, they hands or head and shoulders there above the competition. They have set the standard that I don't think anybody else can attain right now. But for me, it's DC.
okay. Maggie, for you, it's DC.
No.
No,
No, he's at
Marvel.
Marvel. He's at Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, I'm talking
Yeah.
movies only. I never really got into the comics.
See, for me, I
Gotcha.
had the comics growing up, like the Fantastic Four. I still have the first original 10 Wolverine when he broke off from X-Men in the when I'm in the mid '80s, mid late '80s. I have them backed and bound and sitting in a closet at my parents' house. Someday I'm sure that will be worth a pretty. I haven't looked it up recently, but last time I looked, it was pretty nice. But that Daredevil, freaking Punisher, yeah, I loved Marvel. Because it's funny, everyone says, "Well, DC's darker and more realistic," and I'm like, "Really?
Not realistic.
Really?"
They're
But again,
definitely
are
they
they
tried to
basing it
capitalize
just
on
on the
dark.
movies as opposed to the comics, right? Because I think there's a definite, again, not having read a lot of the comics, but knowing a little bit about them, I think there's a definite difference between what you see in the Marvel movies that are created now, as opposed to maybe what was in some of the comic books.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree, Thor. I do feel like the Marvel cinema, the MCU, has definitely,
Capitalized. Yeah.
outshined what DC's been able to do. But I'm excited. The new Flash movie's coming out with Ezra douchebag.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you saw the new trailer dropped Super Bowl Sunday, so a week ago, and it looks amazing, absolutely fucking amazing.
Here's part of my problem with DC is unpopular opinion. I think Superman is a big problem for DC because he's faster, stronger, whatever than literally everyone. In the comics, they killed him, and I know there's some variation or there's some, additional stories related to that, but they have to kind of come up with some outlandish stuff to make him a player that's not so overpowered that the rest are irrelevant.
Right.
And I think that is an issue that's really difficult to deal with because, I mean, through editing and so forth, yeah, you can control who has screen time, but just as a character, and I realize it derived from the comics, but the whole idea of a Batman versus Superman trying to knock him down a peg, I'm like, no.
The only way it happens is it all revolves around kryptonite, right? Like,
Yeah,
Right. That's the only way to level the field.
Yeah, and whereas, even though it doesn't necessarily happen, I mean, X-Men world, you feel like there are people who can be killed. Now, ironically, well, we just most recently got introduced to, what is it? I can't remember if they call them an alpha level or whatever level threat. When Wanda Sykes became the Scarlet Witch, she was just insanely strong. Like taking on the entire,
Wanda Sykes.
what was it? That Wanda Sykes.
You said Wanda
Wanda Maximoff.
Okay, good. I was
Yeah.
thinking the same thing. I'm like,
now
I've
I'm
lost
picturing
you
a
now.
much better.
Like, was it some kind of Saturday Night Live parody that you saw? Like, okay, all right, okay, my bad.
The Scarlet Witch? But anyway, I mean, DC was first to market as I see it back way into the 80s with the Superman, and then Batman, and they hung their entire hat on just rehashing that bullshit.
The same thing, right?
Then they did the same thing with Spider-Man, which I realize is back to Marvel, but it shows like, okay, it's just a hero movie with no real consequence. And Daredevil did the same thing. It wasn't until they had the phases that they started mapping out movies and connected storylines that it really just went next level. But that said, I prefer Marvel. Reading X-Men, X Factor, just some of those awesome storylines over the years. I'm Team Marvel.
Okay. So but it sounds like I'm the only DC, right? Right, because everybody else is Marvel. Okay. And interestingly enough, DC, when you said DC was the first to market, yeah, maybe then, but they were also the first to market in 1938. They were the first one to come out with a superhero in the Phantom, followed by Superman. And it,
Dude, do you remember that movie? Was it
Billy Zane.
Crudup? Billy Zane. That's
Billy
who
Zane.
it was. Yeah.
Yep. And it was dog shit, but that's neither here nor there. And
DC movies been making shit movies since the
Marvel
80s
didn't.
and 90s.
Obviously, Marvel came along just after that, in late 30s, early 40s. With Captain Marvel was the first, but DC was the first one to get there in the old Superman series and stuff like that. I don't know. For me, it was always not that. What? No one? Oh, you all right? Oh, it's not that I don't appreciate Marvel and what they've done. Yes, I think DC is darker. I think, as Grinch said, DC just they were trying to continue to capture lightning in a bottle. Like the 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton wasn't bad. I wasn't a super huge fan of the Joker because I think they played the Joker too clowny. And that's not who the Joker was. And I think we've had versions of the Joker since then that have been a lot better. But, people thought Jack Nicholson, but they played him as a caricature of what the Joker was. And unfortunately, I don't think that worked well. I liked Michael Keaton as Batman. I actually like the Batman with
I thought it was
Pattinson.
Great. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Not only do they
hated that movie. I thought it was dog shit.
Why?
It was horrible.
No,
So
I really
bad.
liked it.
Again,
so I really liked the Riddler.
Why?
Too.
So bad. I just didn't enjoy it. I thought it was over the top, emo. I don't think he played the character well. I didn't enjoy the movie. Top down, side to side.
They played him as a dark, like he was dark Bruce Wayne. Yes, it was filmed in a very dark manner, but they also played his character very dark. Unlike the Playboy that Christian Bale plays. And yes, money being what it was for Bruce Wayne, I think that was my only kind of criticism of Bale's Batman, was you had Morgan, he had that whole team, research and development. Morgan Freeman's building him all this elaborate shit. That's one of the things I liked about this one in The Batman. He's in an old abandoned subway tunnel. He's doing it all himself. He's building his own fucking car, his own motorcycle. He doesn't have a fucking ridiculous team of research and development putting the tumbler together and all this wacky shit. And I just liked it better for that reason. It felt grittier, it felt darker, which I liked. So, and then of course,
here's a question.
Yes.
Best Joker.
Jared Leto, hands down.
No, Heath Ledger.
Can we mute him?
Yeah,
Jared Leto.
I don't know if you can. Best Joker?
I thought Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix.
And I mean, to me, it was Heath Ledger.
I didn't like those either. I didn't like that movie either.
Until Joaquin came out. Now you didn't.
I just don't even know what to say to you anymore.
You didn't set Joaquin against another major character in that movie, right? That was his own. I think Ledger worked against Christian Bale's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I think Joaquin Phoenix played a better, in terms of the unhinged version of Joker, the unassuming guy that just he snapped, and that's really what it was.
Was it Michael Douglas falling down?
Yes.
Just fucking
it's just one of those days, and then you're on a path that you can't get off of. And I definitely liked the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. Now, who knows if you put him against a superhero, if it would be worth a shit. Because I can tell you, if you put him against Dawn of Justice, Justice League, Ben Affleck's Batman, no. Who was the worst Batman? It's going to be, it's a toss-up between like a Val Kilmer, a George Clooney, or a...
Yeah, it's those two for sure. Those two for sure. They were
I'd even forgotten about the two of them because they were that bad.
Yeah. Well, that Batman and Robin movie was absolutely
Chris O'Donnell
awful.
plays Robin. Alicia Silverstone plays Batgirl.
It's just
movies
awful.
that should have never been made, of course.
Yeah.
Well, was that the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger? That was not.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
Jim Carrey is the joke.
Was the Riddler.
They were playing off of name recognition.
It's literally horrible end to end. Just awful.
And I think and that was one of my, again, the criticisms in terms of those movies is they were trying to play it against that very campy 1960s Adam West Batman, the Cesar Romero Joker. And so you had that very clowny Jack Nicholson and the Riddler from the 60s. And so Jim Carrey plays, he's just Jim Carrey in a fucking Riddler outfit. And it just didn't work. And I think that was kind of a backslide for DC. And it was hard to capitalize on that. Best Superman.
I mean, for me, it's
I
Henry
like
Cavill.
Henry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Henry
I
Cavill.
like him.
Yeah,
I did
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, I mean, I it's interesting seeing what's going on with James Gunn moving over, and his move on The Witcher, because I mean, he's positioned himself well enough to be like, I don't like where this is heading, and I'm not so desperate for work that I'm going to sell out what I think is the right vision. But I just like him as a human being. I like him
agreed.
in the role. I thought he was a great choice.
If there was one celebrity I could hang out with for an entire day and do whatever the fuck I wanted, it'd be Henry Cavill. I am so intrigued by how cool he is.
Yeah, I think I like his Superman better. I mean, obviously Christopher Reeves being Christopher Reeves, right? I would say the first Superman. Then you kind of go downhill from there. But
and I don't have anything against Christopher Reeves in that role. I mean, the original role, that's all I knew.
Right.
I think he's our generation, but Henry Cavill's our generation Superman.
Well, and then you had that one-off Brendan Roush that was in Superman Returns. It was like, or Ralph, however you say his name, was like, no, that was a mistake. And then, of course, now they are trying to play catch up with your Justice League, trying to capitalize against what the Avengers have done. And you have Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
I will say that the first Wonder Woman movie, I have probably watched a dozen times. That is a really well done movie. The second one, that
84?
Wonder Woman 84,
Yeah,
what a piece of
good.
fucking garbage.
Right.
But the first one's banging.
But they do what they always do with movies like this: is they're trying to capitalize. They go, oh, well, the first one was successful. The second one will be just as, it's all about money.
The algorithm.
Right.
The
The
algorithm.
taste cluster is saying, hey, this is going to be a good one. And it's definitely not always. I'm sorry you didn't like The Batman. I did. I've watched it a number of times.
I did not. No.
My only issue with The Batman, which I have an issue with most movies these days, was about 45 minutes too fucking long. If they had trimmed 45 minutes to an hour off of it, that movie would have been fine.
Yeah, sadly, I didn't care for it. Or the Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting. Interesting.
Didn't.
Have any of you seen the movie The Beast with Idris Elba?
Not yet. I own it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. I just watched it the other day. It's like an hour and 30 minutes. I was like, holy shit, a 90-minute movie? What am I going to do with myself? It was over before it started. I'm like, this is perfect. I don't understand these 2.5-hour movies. I have no desire to sit. What's Avatar? Like 3 fucking hours? Avatar 2, I mean?
Something
I have
like
no
that,
desire
yeah.
to sit through that
It was.
shit.
I will say that I took the niece to see it, and I'm glad we went to a comfortable theater with comfortable chairs that had
So you could nap?
the food service and the drinks that came to you, because it was long. It was good though.
There you go. All right, so DC Marvel. I'm the one DC holdout. Everybody else Marvel. And again, I appreciate Marvel. I'm over superhero movies in general. I'm kind of tired of the
Although
the genre and the formulaic approach.
I hear the new Ant-Man movie is pretty banging.
No thanks. I've never seen any of them, and I won't be wasting my time to watch that.
I like Paul Rudd.
I like Paul Rudd as an actor.
I think Jonathan Majors is actually a really good actor as well. Playing
the guy that's his protagonist or antagonist, whatever. Yeah. All right, Grinch, you got another one you'd like to throw out? We got time for one more.
I don't.
You don't? I thought I saw one. Do parents have the right to spy on their children? 100% fucking percent. It's not even a debate.
Well, let's so define children.
If you are under the age of 18 living in my house,
Absolutely.
Freedom.
If I'm paying the bills for your cell phone, I have the ability to look at what's going on that phone at any given moment.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And you can be over 18.
Oh, yeah. If I'm still paying the bill and you're in my house,
if I'm paying the bill and you're living under my roof, guess what?
All right, that one was easy. Look at that. Grinch, what about you? You didn't wait.
I don't. I mean, I hope I don't, and we didn't have to foster an environment where that even is a thing. And I'm not suggesting it is for all of you, like it's necessarily happened.
No, my kids don't know. That's why it's called spying.
Well, that's actually
he was like a ninja.
That's right.
Part of what I was sitting here thinking about, of like, because having a mother who had like a tape recorder on a phone line, when I discovered that, I was just like, what the fuck? If there's
I
something
would have
that's an
purposely said some
issue-
outrageous shit had I
well,
found
and it's one of
this.
those like clearly I wasn't supposed to find out.
Yeah, it wasn't for you though, if I'm not mistaken, right? I mean, it wasn't like trying to
No,
catch
it
you.
was.
Oh,
Well, it
was?
was in my room.
Oh shit.
It's
I
one of
didn't know
those
about
like,
this.
I didn't either.
actually, I didn't even think about it until recently, but I don't even remember what brought it to my mind. But I can just remember thinking at the time, like, well, I'm unhooking this. You know, and where I'm going with this is, it's like, be a fucking parent. If the spying piece is what really bothers me, because if there's a suspicion something's wrong, I think, and maybe this is semantics, there's looking for confirmation or denial, which you hate to have a relationship with your child where there's this like hanging suspicion, and we've seen the classic things in movies and so forth of like, are you doing drugs, because part
It's
of
like
it,
if you were more involved in your child's life and you knew them better and had a
Well,
healthy
right,
Well,
and
relationship
it's-
with them, you would know.
the point
Yeah,
maybe you're trying to
fair
get at
play.
is it shouldn't be spying. It should be flat out up front that look,
Open.
I'm looking at your phone this week. Not doing it behind their back. It's
I'm not saying you have to do it, but the question was, does a parent have a right to do it?
Yeah, the question is, do you have a right? And I said yes, but look, as someone
You don't
who
have to exercise that right.
as somebody who went to market with children much sooner than the rest of you, I can tell you, I was younger. I was open with my kids. I told them what I did as a teenager. Like, I always thought, if I'm open with my kids, they'll be open with me.
that was a mistake.
Anybody here, because I know my answer. Anybody here honestly think 100% of the time your children were honest with you every time they open their fucking mouth?
Yes,
well, I don't.
Really?
I do.
100%.
Yes.
Never lied to you.
Yeah,
Yes, she has, or yes, she hasn't.
she has not lied to me.
Okay. That's a bold statement, Cotton, but I'm proud if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I will. You can dodge a wrench on that one. I will. Yeah,
That's
just a
dive dip.
I don't know if that's honestly, but on the flip side, I don't know if that's good or not either, right? Because I feel like she's almost like, because it'll gnaw at her. And she's like, I have to tell you the truth.
Right.
I can't lie to you. And there's sometimes it's like, yeah, maybe you should have just not necessarily lied to me, but just don't even tell me.
Omit.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, I was open and honest with my kids, and I told them I always would be, and they were not that way with me. And so clearly my approach of being open and honest, and Grinch, you saying don't foster a household where spying is a thing. I was open and honest, and I knew my kids weren't. And my mom thought the same thing growing up. She's like, my son will always be honest. Well, you all know I ended up face down on a bathroom floor, almost killed me. And
yeah. I mean, and Lord knows, little L, I was not honest with my mother about a lot of shit we did of when we went camping and things like that. It's just, and part of it was because of the anticipated reaction. Now, in my case, I anticipated pure irrationality. So, there's also that question of like, can teens get tattoos? You all know well and good, I have plenty. And I told them, if it's something you want to do, let's just have a plan for it. And so with that same type of mentality, if there was a mistake made, then what you would hope is that they want to come to light so that you can work through it. It's a learning moment, whatever. It's not like, oh my God, you're grounded. And candidly, I mean, back to the 100%, the 100% is what I was mulling, because I don't know that. I know it's meant to be a black and white question, but who's ever been 100%? It reminds me of Interstellar with TARS.
Yeah.
And he's like,
dial
what's your
it back a
honesty
bit.
setting, or whatever. Like, sometimes partial truths are okay.
Right. 90%'s all right.
And in like the one incident that comes to mind is, had a kiddo that was actually struggling with the class. Didn't really bring it to light until it was kind of too late to do much. Not that we necessarily could have, but it's one of those, like, there's two parts to it. One, obviously you're paying for it and you want to see success, but the other part is like, don't be so hard on yourself. You got mono.
Right.
Like you couldn't even go into class some days because you were coughing so much.
Extenuating circumstances.
Right. So
Right.
like it's like the classic, what they call a graduate who passed, with a 2.0? A graduate.
A
right?
graduate.
Right. The guy that graduated last in his doctoral class is still a doctor.
Yeah, they don't put your GPA or any of that stuff, I don't think, on your diploma, right?
No,
So
I don't give a fuck about that.
No,
But
and
I
I don't
guess-
walk into anybody, here and be like, so talk to me about your GPA in undergrad. Like what the fuck?
Okay, Mac. So to as a side question, have you been 100% honest with your kid about what you did growing up and the things that you got, or were you still apply the same thing? Some things you just don't need to know.
I don't openly admit to everything, but
No,
I'd like
no,
to
but if
think
she
that if she asked, yeah,
Okay.
Sweet. What's her phone number?
1-800 fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, similar. I guess
We got her a toll-free number just to make it easy for
I
you.
guess Mac and
Thanks,
I are in
buddy.
a similar
Appreciate
realm
that,
on
homie.
this. I think there's context that sometimes teases out stuff. I don't just proactively be like, let me tell you all my transgressions.
Right. Oh no,
Yeah.
no. I
There's
wouldn't say
sometimes
that.
context that has to have it make sense so you can tie it to a point, as opposed to forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
Well, see,
Yeah,
with our kids,
she knows about rappelling out of the window.
Hmm.
Like I mean, and shit like that, and what led to it. I didn't openly, start that conversation, but we got on it somehow, and the discussion was had. So yeah, I mean, I don't. To Grinch's point, I'm not going to tell her everything I did.
So you're saying
you know-
away at school, you still think she, not lying about anything, but you don't then ask pointed questions either. Like
I mean,
you're
I
not,
don't.
or you're not coming home going, hey, you're not likely to come home all knocked up, right? You're taking precautions, you're being careful, like things like that. Are you being open and honest about that, or are you just like, if I don't, out of sight, out of mind?
I think both.
Okay. Just curious. My approach when I had kids was just be open and honest, thinking that would not have them do the things I did as a teen, and it didn't fucking work.
Yeah.
Fucking kids. The shit they don't tell you. Look, gentlemen, I appreciate it. We're running a little long in the tooth here, and I know we have to be respectful of everybody's time. But you know what? I would like to do this again. We've got enough fucking topics on that list. Maybe we do a few episodes like this, because I like being able to jump around. It keeps things fresh. Keeps things interesting.
I was thinking about when I was looking at some of these questions, like these are things like the kind of shit we would sit around and talk about.
That's exactly what this felt like, right? Yeah, just us sitting, having some hot wings and
can't feel my mouth, and I'm sweating, but yeah, I enjoyed this. So let's do this again next week. We'll sit around. We'll grab, I don't know how many we went through. 6, 8, maybe. And we'll just do a rapid fire hot take, bring a hot drink, bring some hot wings. I don't give a shit if you just want to eat a spoonful of hot sauce. And we'll do this again next week. So
We'll do lines of cayenne pepper.
Okay. What was it, Steve-O?
Sure.
What did Steve-O do on
oh God.
what's the Japanese
Wasabi.
Thank you. Wasabi.
Oh my God.
Grinch, fucking idiot. Exactly. So there you go. For all you listeners at home, feel free to check out our website at aspiriteddebate.com. All of the drinks that we have here, my red pepper sangria margarita, Max red Merlot wine, Haas, Don Papa's rum on ice, and Grinch, your hot buttery rum. Sounds yummy. So you can check out all of our drinks there. All of our episodes are in the vault, about 170, 71. This one will be like 172. So yeah, feel free to go and check those out. There's a lot of listening content out there. If that's not good enough for you, hit up our email address, thefullhorsemen@aspiriteddebate.com. Drop us a line, a topic you'd like us to debate, a drink you'd like us to try. We're good for all of that. And, Mac Bottom 003, movies, ninja movies that he should watch from the 70s and 80s. Go ahead and send them to that.
I noticed how you said ninja movies and not pirates. I knew you were a ninja guy.
Well, because we already got good pirate movies. Got Treasure Island, Treasure Planet. Thank you, Disney.
Neither genre is on the list, by the way. There are no ninja or pirate movies on my list.
Well, they ran the pirate movie.
Challenge
The Pirates of the
accepted.
Caribbean, they ran that one into the ground with like 17 movies or whatever they're at now.
Well, hold on. Would we consider a samurai to be a ninja?
No.
I think not.
No.
So, okay, just making sure.
Historically, they are very different things.
Yes,
very,
Chinese
very
and
different things.
Yeah,
Japanese.
I thought so. I'm just wanting to make sure that we we're all on the same page.
Yeah, we
They're
are.
on the same page.
Master
So-
and Commander would not be a pirate movie either. So
No, it's a military movie.
yeah.
So yeah, macbottom003@gmail.com. Any movie you'd like Mac to put on his list, go ahead and drop it to him there, and we will make sure that he watches it, even if we don't, because we've probably seen it anyway. Gentlemen, as always, I appreciate your hot takes week in and week out. Love doing this with you. Can't wait to do it again next week. So thank you very much. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the A Spirited Debate podcast series or any affiliated podcasts are solely those of the hosts or guests involved and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations that the hosts or guests may or may not be associated with in a professional or personal capacity, unless explicitly stated. While guests are invited to listen, listeners acknowledge that they are not being provided professional advice from the podcast or its guests. The content within the parameters of A Spirited Debate podcast series or any affiliated podcast are for entertainment and educational purposes only. Any views or opinions are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, or individual.